Hey, Afterbuzzers. It's the winter finale here on the Good Doctor After Show. Tonight, we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 10, Quarantine. Do we have a new possible romance on the horizon? And what will be the fate of our residents, surgeons, and their patients? It was a crazy episode with a lot of questions, so don't go anywhere.
You're tuned in to Afterbuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome back to the Good Doctor After Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's the winter finale. It is a joy. It is a Christmas episode. I was going to say it's not so joyous, but we have a lot to be happy about here in the studio because, guys, this is the first time in a while the entire panel is back together. Yes. Yay! Lovely ladies, please introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be back. It's Carlina Will.
And I am Taquaila.
And hey everyone, I'm Veronica Valencia. I am so excited to be back with you ladies, finally, and for the perfect time too, for our winter finale, for all of us to be back. It is such an exciting time. Coming up later in the show, we'll be talking about the quarantine and how it affects every single one of our resident surgeons. We'll be talking about Park's son, as well as the maybe sort of romance between Melendez and Dr. Lim. We'll also be giving some of our favorite quotes said by Shaun, and we will also be highlighting another real-life Good Doctor today. But before we get into all of that great stuff, ladies, what did we think about the winter finale?
Man, this was crazy. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. It was crazy. I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Luckily, I had my DVR on and I was just fast forwarding through all the commercials because I just wanted to know what happened. There's a certain relationship that happened. I was like, that we'll dig into. I was like, what? Did not see that coming. I don't even think any of us predicted that one.
No.
And then with poor Dr. Glassman, that was really sad
heartbreaking
to talk about. And everybody's locked under quarantine and people are dying. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought, so crazy, good word, because their viewers in the chat are using crazy as this episode was crazy. Oh my God, this is crazy. And I was like, yeah, crazy is accurate. It might even be an understatement. My whole time watching it, I'm just like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So I couldn't even fathom. It was just so jam-packed with everything hitting you one at a time. And my heart was just pulled in so many directions. Dr. Lim and his son, and then, not Dr. Lim and his son, Dr. Lim, period, but Dr. Park and then his son. And it just was all over the place. I can't wait to dive in more.
I agree. I thought this episode was completely crazy. As I was saying, it's the holidays. Usually we get very happy holidays episodes, but I feel like this episode was anything but joyous because there was just so much bad stuff happening left and right. And as you were saying, Carlina, there was a certain relationship that, yes, we didn't see coming, but I also feel like there were certain things that happened in this episode that I was a little, I don't want to say necessarily confused by, but felt very out of place. And we will definitely go into all that. So first, let's talk about the quarantine and how it affected Shaun, Dr. Lim, and Morgan. What did we think about them personally being locked up in the quarantine, whereas the other doctors were just in the hospital? Anything?
I don't know. Part of me, when you asked the question, I was like, lucky? But then that's really not a sensitive enough word because then you see they're trying to fight for their patients and their patients are locked in quarantine and you can't get help for those patients that do need it. And it's actually life or death situations, especially the one with leukemia. But also, I'm going to jump a bit ahead of us, but it just wasn't, I didn't expect the doctors and the attendees to be affected. And I don't know why. I mean, it's logical. It is an airborne virus. That is, anybody can be affected. But the ending just has me so for a loss of words because I just really thought they were protected. I don't know, they had superpowers or whatever, but I'm just disappointed that Morgan seems to be okay, but Dr. Lim and Dr. Murphy, I'm just nervous.
Yeah, definitely.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, jumping a little bit forward, I'm very nervous for Dr. Lim because I feel she has just been strong throughout this entire season. I really enjoyed how we've kind of been seeing her, how she's just like, no BS, I'm here, I do my job. Whereas I'm not saying our other surgeons and our residents, aren't strong characters, because they definitely are. It's just we see a little bit more of their vulnerable side with Dr. Lim. As like I said, she's just there to do her job and she wants to do her job very well. And I like that strong character in her. So I'm very nervous if she falls victim to this virus like the other three people, as I'm not ready for that. And then with Morgan, I feel like this kind of was, we'll jump right into this with Morgan and this relationship, this crush that Tyler, the EMT, has in her. What did we think of that?
That was cute.
I like how we have all of these crushes or interests that are coming out of the woodwork, something we like totally didn't think of. I thought it was cute, but then again sad, because I want Morgan to get some loving in her life, but it just cannot be from Tyler now. And that was the crushing part. And I felt like, I don't know if she actually liked him too, or just also her emotions in play from his possible, at the time, chance of dying because of the virus. But I wanted to see more. I think she definitely liked him as a friend. You know, I think he was her friend in the office because he knew about her family, etc. I don't think Tyler was the one for her. But I think it was a good way to show Morgan's emotional side, her with her friend, and then, you know, suffering from that loss. I'm going to jump in a little bit to like how everything was crazy. Yeah. First of all, I don't think you guys remember we left off with Morgan in the middle of a surgery that she doesn't know how to do. Because Dr. Lim passed out. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What's happening with Gassy Santa? You know, like, is that what it was?
He was Gassy Santa.
Yeah. He was Gassy Santa. So, like, she got to figure that out. And then Shaun's on the floor in a ball. So, like, you know, when you said, like, it affects them, you know, Shaun was affected by the light. And I don't know too much about, like, autism, but I know, like, certain things like that bother them really, really bad. And so I kind of think Dr. Lim messed up. And I think she should have flipped Morgan and Shaun. Have Shaun finish the surgery and send Morgan out. Because you have Morgan there looking at her dead friend the whole time she's trying to do this surgery. And then seeing her boss who, like, you know, supervisors who's succumbing to that same thing. That was just too much for Morgan at once. That was, I don't know if the virus affected her judgment. I don't know. But, like, I would have switched them.
I agree. I completely agree. I was just about to say, would it have been better had they been switched? Because I feel like Morgan could handle dealing with mass amounts of people way better. Whereas Shaun, I'm not saying that he's insensitive, but we know Shaun would be able to kind of stick to the procedure a little bit better than Morgan would, especially because you're right, Carlina, she was looking at Tyler was very close to her, and so was Dr. Lim, passed out. So all those emotions were coming to her. So Shaun would have probably been better in that situation because he would have very much just kind of tuned it out a little bit and focused on the procedure. The impromptu procedure, mind you. But I just kind of wanted to...
Without a surgical room, that was crazy.
That was absolutely insane, and that's what added to the craziness of this episode, was because they still have patients they need to treat, some very intense, and they can't go anywhere.
Just like Santa said, because Shaun was like, he needs to go to the ER or the OR room now, and he was like, where? We can't leave, we're all quarantined. And it was like, oh yeah, duh, I forgot. So it just, that realization as well, especially when you hear something like that, just imagine yourself being on the table and you know you need to be in the operating room or the surgery room, but you can't go. So then how do you start as a person internalizing it and panicking and anxiety? And maybe those are also characteristics and feelings that heighten what you're personally going through because of that. But you're helpless. What do you do? Yeah. And they said the CDC couldn't come out until tomorrow. So that's a whole day. And how many more people are going to be affected?
Where's the CDC? Where's my tax dollars going?
Why aren't they there quicker?
Yeah.
It's a lot of big questions. I just want to circle back to Morgan real quick with Morgan and Tyler. I know how you ladies were saying you thought this relationship was really cute, and I did. I think it was very cute. And like you were saying, Carlina, this must have been a friend that was in the office because he knew about her family, but I feel like it was so out of nowhere, this guy coming in and being her friend. Like, we didn't really see him even so much as like saying hi in the hallways or like kind of leading up to who this guy is. He just popped in out of nowhere and he knew, you know, Morgan's whole story kind of thing. Like, he knew that she would be in town because of her whole, you know, dynamics with her family and everything like that. So I feel like if we got just a little bit more of him leading up to this episode, I feel that whole scene with him and Morgan would have been much more powerful. Because we would have known him better.
I would have cried though, because then we would have known him and he would have died.
That is true. But, yeah.
I ain't cry.
She keeping it all the way.
I'm not crying yet.
Yeah, that's same way too.
Right? Like, as a viewer, you're like, oh, okay, that sucks. Oh, but you weren't like, not like true. When Dr. Lim, you was like, yeah, you know, that's what I mean. Sorry, y'all don't think I'm insensitive, please.
Well, speaking of Dr. Lim and Melendez, Park, and Claire were also affected by the quarantine. There was a lot of people affected by this quarantine, but before we go into any of that, we also have a lot of content that we want to tell you more about. Carlina.
Oh, hi. Hey, AfterBuzzers. Our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans, but we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel, and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did in the comments, and V and Taquaila will say you're the best person ever, and we'll thank you on the air. For now, thanks for being the best fans. And there's a few fans I'd like to shout out. We have Joyful Kia, Maria 26, Michelle Fitzgerald, Morgan Boyd, what's up? Kayla Johnson, Diane, Samantha Godfrey, XX Milkshake 202XX. I have questions about that. Please comment me. Francie 17 and Diclonius Games. Thank you so much for watching and for helping us be the ESPN of TV Talk.
Thank you, Carlina. And yes, thank you all to our amazing fans who have been tuning in this season. I know there's many more of you in our comments, many more of you on iTunes, but we just want to thank all of you so much for tuning in. All right, now let's talk about Melendez, Claire, and Park. Let's dive into Park for a quick second. Now, he has been slowly but surely throughout the episodes leading up to here, we've been getting a little bit into his backstory, and behold, his mysterious son appears in this episode. Were either of you surprised that his son was older? Were you?
Yeah, I thought he was like 7.
I thought he had a younger child. I don't know why I kind of assumed that he would have a younger child.
That was a plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like they have a really good relationship. So I want the, Kellen
yeah.
to not be not have the virus so that we can get more into that. I feel like you said, it's just one of those things that he just popped in there. We've heard of him, but just popped in there really. And I'm like, oh, well, what is that? And I wanted to know more. Like, I wanted to know, like, the dynamic doesn't seem well, but I wanted to know why and for what reason. And then at the end, when we see Dr. Park just banging on the wall, like, help my son.
It was
I
heartbreaking.
cannot take this. Yes, it definitely was. He was having, right.
I don't think it was virus. I think it was just an asthma attack. And then he ran out of, and his
inhaler.
Yes. Medicine.
And again, to be a parent, and here we go back to being helpless, like, what? I'd have to break down I'd have to find something to open that door somehow, some way to help my child. There's something. Because what do you just sit there and watch your child die?
And I feel like it's even harder for Dr. Park because since he is
exactly
a resident or a doctor, he knows probably better than anyone the risks of what this potential airborne virus is like. So it's probably even harder for him to sit there and see his son having this asthma attack, especially because Shaun's on the ground. Some other guy is on the ground and like, what was it, hypoglycemic shock?
Yes, you're right.
And then people are just crying and panicking, so it doesn't make the situation any better.
It's just only that nurse that's there trying to help everyone, and if she goes down, everyone's at a loss.
Yeah. But I think, so I know I just said at first I was kind of surprised that the son was older, and I was, but I think him being older kind of makes it a little easier to kind of go into that strained father-son relationship, because I feel like maybe if the son was younger, he wouldn't have as many feelings, like angry feelings towards Dr. Park.
Or be able to even, hopefully if he gets to the point to be able to express himself verbally, to let us know or let us into his side of the story of their relationship and to see where it may have took a left turn.
Yeah, and if he was younger, he wouldn't have been in that area by himself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in the quarantine, in the ER. So that story wouldn't have been able to play out.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, talk about wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah. But I mean, not only that, can you just imagine some of these people were in there for extreme medical reasons. Gassy Santa had to have a surgery, but there are some other people in there, someone who just wanted to fill a prescription or someone who was a donor. These people just needing to get in and get out of the ER right before the holidays, and then this happens.
Well, let's just talk about Tyler trying to help somebody, by bringing them in to get help. That sucked.
And so Tyler, the pregnant lady, I don't remember her name. And then who was the other one? Tyler, the pregnant lady, Santa.
There was
The
an
leukemia patient, his father's in there, and I felt bad for him too, because I feel like he thought his dad was standing him up again, because they tried to call, they were waiting, like, where is he at? And lo and behold, he's been in the waiting room for however long he was there, and wasn't given the attention to say, hey, I'm here, I am this person's donor or whatever. And now he's quarantined, and his son's life may depend on it, or it does depend on it. And we see that he signed the DNR. So I was with Dr. Melendez trying to like recover him. If they found a way to get his bone marrow, I wanted them to try to at least attempt to save his life.
That's gonna be tricky though.
Yeah.
Well, kind of going back to Dr. Park, I feel like that patient case came around full circle to him, because the patient, as you were saying, Taquaila, felt like he was being stood up by his father, didn't have a father figure in his life. He even said something along the lines of, like, he just made me or something like that.
Right.
And I feel like that kind of, from what little Dr. Park was involved with it, I feel like that really hit home for him as well, because that patient had a father-son strained relationship, and he also has a father-son strained relationship that he is trying to work on this holiday season. So fingers crossed that everything works out for Tyler, because the craziness of this episode, we don't even know who will end up alive or who will fall victim
Tyler.
to.
Tyler died.
Not Tyler. Kellen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. There's a lot of people going on in
I was
here.
like, there's no hope for him.
There isn't.
Okay, lighter subject. Can we just talk about, I know y'all are like dancing around the subject, but I'm going to hit it straight on. Dr. Lim and Melendez, what was that?
Oh, the opening scene?
What was that? Hey, at least she got some before she
did.
got knocked
She
out.
did.
I'm just saying, Dr. Melendez is not bad. Y'all laughing, but it's true. Everybody's gonna be like, Dr. Melendez is attractive. I know everybody was so upset. Like, I was live tweeting with everybody, and everyone was like, he's supposed to be with Claire. He's supposed to be with Claire.
No,
he's not. Claire's supposed to be with Shaun. If you saw the Asian show, that's what's happening. But he, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm upset I didn't see it coming.
I like it better.
I'm not mad. I like it.
I do.
I was the only one like, ew, really? Come on.
You thought it was
I
ew?
didn't, because I just didn't see, I don't see no chemistry, and maybe they were trying to blame it off as just, what did they say? Dr. Andrews did this to us, so we're quote unquote doing it back to him or whatever. Like,
he screwed us, so we screwed each other.
So maybe
That was
there
a
we go.
great line, though. I really did love it.
That wasn't a Shaun line, but it was
a good line.
Yes.
Let's highlight it anyway.
Maybe they're using that as an scapegoat just to hide feelings or something of that nature, but I just don't. Maybe they'll grow on me, but when I first opened, I was like, really, what? Them? So I just wasn't too high on that relationship.
But you know
yet.
what? I don't know who I thought. Like, when I first saw Melendez like get up, I was like so confused who could be next to him, because I was like, it's not the blonde lady. I was like, if it's Claire, I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop.
Now talking about coming
So
out
then
of
when
nowhere.
so then when I saw it was Dr. Lim, I think it was a sigh of relief. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I think I just would have lost it if it was Claire. I'd have been like, no.
See, I have to admit, I felt like I was very much on the same page as the audience most of the time, and thinking, oh yeah, Melendez and Claire, I would really like for them to get together.
Nope.
I think it'd be very cute. But now that there's this potential of Dr. Melendez and Dr. Lim on the line, I'm like, I really like them. I don't know if it's just because they are very similar yet opposite. Like, they have similar goals, but they go about them in different ways, and I think that's what they like, because they challenge each other in that sense of like healthy competition, whereas like Melendez with Claire, it was not competition, it was just like she going behind his back, so it wasn't like a proper challenge, if that makes sense. But yeah,
I think, are they too similar in a way that might be able to get in the way? No, okay.
I think, like I said, I think they have similar goals, but I think the way they go about them is very different, which is not gonna like hurt them, I would think.
Yeah.
But so the two of you agree that so to me, I just seen this as a sexual encounter. But are you two saying or hoping that they become an item, a couple, or
well, they didn't regret doing it.
They didn't. I feel like they've probably done it before.
And then did you see Melendez's face when he saw her like trapped
it was
in?
heartbreaking.
Like, that wasn't no booty call face. That was like, oh snap, my boo's in there.
And he wanted to know the extent of what was going on, and that's true. Okay.
Well, that's the thing that makes it seem like it's more of
keep my eye open.
It's going to be something more than just a random hookup because of the way he was worried for her.
Y'all don't do that
I
to
forgot
that.
about
that,
Y'all
yeah.
cannot kill Dr. Lim. He just got over, the fiance who left him, who didn't want to have kids.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, speaking of killing off a character, I want to present a question. Now, we know that this show doesn't necessarily have any fear of writing off main characters, as we saw with Jared. Now, I have a question. It's a two-part question. Who do you think would be the most likely to be written off if that's what they were going for? And who would you be the most upset about being written off? So
so who most likely? The way they have it set up looks like it's sad, but I feel like they're trying to write off Dr. Lim. I don't know if she got a TV deal, whatever. I don't know much about the actress, but that's what it looks like. Who I want to go is Morgan.
Not necessarily. Oh, who you want to go?
Yeah, she should have been in there. They should have switched places. There was lots of switching that should have happened. And then what was the last question? Sorry.
Oh, it was mainly just two. It was like, who do you think is most likely to, and who would you be most upset if they were written off?
Most upset. Oh, my bad. I said who I wouldn't care. That was so bad. Most upset. It's not gonna happen because he's the main character. It'd be Shaun.
Shaun?
Yeah, but it's not gonna happen, so I don't have to worry about it.
So for me, most upset would definitely be Dr. Glassman. For me, who do I want to see go?
Oh, see, we don't have to answer like who do we want.
No, let's do it. The fans want to hear this. Let's do it.
Oh, okay. So I'm. Part of me really wants to say Leah, but then we just have SC Tesfaye in the comments said that she's feeling Shaun and Leah. She thinks they're getting better. LOL. But
better romantically. Or just better friendship? Because better friendship,
if you're listening, are they better romantically? Friendships? I will wait to see if that question is answered. But I'm ready. When we have their segment, I'm not drawn in. I like that's a pizza break or drink break, whatever I'm doing at that moment. I'm not drawn into to the TV and the episode as much when they're doing when they're together. Thing. So I'm gonna have to shoot her to boot. I'm sorry, but yeah.
All good things.
But
you're not gonna
answer. We just put ourselves on the line, and you have to answer all three questions.
Dang. Okay, well, who do I think most likely would be written off the way it's set up right now? Honestly, I feel like Dr. Glassman.
Okay.
Just because I get the impression that Shaun still relies on him a little bit too much. Like, we may not be seeing it now because they're not physically at the hospital together like they were, but I feel Shaun knows in the back of his head he can always go to Glassman if he ever needs something. And I feel he'll really understand true independence once he's gone. And it's a very sad way to think of it, but I think that might be something that the writers try just to... it's kind of like when you're like in a fantasy series and the warrior loses their mentor because they have to like go on this journey by themselves, kind of thing. It's a weird analogy, but I can see that. Someone who I wouldn't be upset about if they were written off.
So this is wouldn't be upset or upset.
Wouldn't be upset, I guess is the question.
Okay.
Maybe Leah as well.
No, it's not a maybe. You've been very adamant all season. All right, next question.
Thanks. And then who I would be devastated if they were written off. At this point, probably Dr. Lim. Just because I feel like we were really getting to start seeing really good things from her, and out of nowhere, they're like, "Ooh, she might be gone. Bye-bye." And it's really upsetting.
That is upsetting.
So we have Dee Dee in the chat. So she thinks, in her opinion, that the cast is too small for anyone to die. So hopefully everyone still lives. And then Essie said that pertaining to Shaun and Leah, that she doesn't know why. I don't know why, but romantically. So she says romantically they're getting better.
That'd be crazy if the writers just threw us for one and Glassman and Lim are both gone.
That'd be too much to handle in one episode.
At one time, yes.
I'm really hoping that everyone makes it through.
This episode was too much to handle.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I was just having an anxiety attack the whole time. I didn't know who was next.
And then so this is our mid-season finale, and we have to wait a good 4-5 weeks to see the continuation.
Yeah.
That's what you call a cliffhanger.
What?
Yeah.
I just hope everyone makes it out alive. I want them all to get
doctors
be okay.
and patients that are in the waiting room, or this is just pertaining to cast members?
Our main cast members.
Okay.
What?
Forget the people, they could die, but yeah. No.
The patients, we don't care. We lost.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Our main cast, the people we see
We can
week
get
to
back
week.
our actors. We can get them anytime, right?
Our main cast, who we see week to week, who we've grown to love and enjoy.
No,
There we go.
I am gonna be upset if that pregnant woman dies, though. That is devastating.
That was a very touching scene.
I
was crying when she was talking to her husband. That was too much for me.
Her and Kellen. Yes, to the both of them. I will be.
I mean, because her scene was very touching, but Kellen, I just want to see where his relationship with his dad goes. That would be way too short-lived if anything happened to him. Speaking of anything happening to him, I'm just curious. So, the virus, Tyler somehow got the virus. Now Lim is infected. However, at one point or another, Morgan, Shaun, and all of them were dealing with these patients. I'm kind of curious if they're going to contract it, and if so, how soon? What do you guys think?
Well, they said it's airborne, so that's the thing.
It depends on your immune system.
Exactly. But it's just like my irritation, because you can't see what is airborne. So my irritation is with people who sneeze and cough but don't cover their mouths. I mean, like in your armpit, like not the armpit, the elbow pit, but like how you're taught in school. And it just annoys me because no, you can't see your germs and spit and everything else flying out there, but it's out there, and that's how we get sick. And so that was my thing. I was like, how many people, even before they started doing it, who touched what? Because that's also a concern. Who came in and then was able to leave? So now they're out in the world and in the public. And again, like they said in the show, how many other people were on this flight from Malaysia who are unknown at this point? How many? I don't know, I just was cringing the whole time just thinking about it, because it is serious. It has happened before. Mm-hmm. I think, has it been a good 3 or 4 years? I have to look that up. I should have did that beforehand, but it was actually an instance. Somebody from another country came back into the States, happened to be in Georgia, and they had contracted some virus as well, and they were quarantined. And the CDC is in Georgia, as well as Emory University, the hospital where they were, shipping everyone from that plane to see if they were sick or not. And so it's a real life issue. Again, that's why I love this story, because it's real life drama. And it puts me in a position to be like, what would I do? How would I control myself or handle it, myself or loved ones? Like, what would you really do?
I think I'm driving home this year. I'm going to cancel my flight.
I just got off a flight about 5 hours ago. So I was like, oh, man.
No, we're just all afraid to fly.
I'm nauseous, I'm itchy, start, everything in your mind just starts going crazy. I'm sorry. Okay.
If I get sick, it's Taquaila.
Back to life. No, I promise. I can't really promise, but yeah.
Follow Carlina on social media so you can keep up with her progress. Know how she's doing. Know how she is doing.
They already hang out with me on Twitter. It's great.
All right. I think next we should talk a little bit more about Glassman. Before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone out there about iTunes. Of course, we have everyone who's tuning in to YouTube, everyone who's leaving us comments, and we appreciate that so much. But don't forget, you can also listen to us on iTunes. Please go there, rate, review, and subscribe. And of course, leave a comment, and we will give you a shout out there as well. So, Dr. Glassman, guys, his cancer's back. It's upsetting.
This was too much.
It was...
I felt defeated when they said, like, my whole body just...
How they gonna announce it and then play Christmas music? What is that?
It's not even like Christmas. It was very haunting, like Hallelujah. Yeah. It was very chilling. It wasn't even like a joyous song. That whole like end montage was just very chilling.
It was weird.
But it's... First of all, can we just talk about how the woman just gave him the scans? How...
You legally can't do that. But that would not happen in the real world.
But look who we're talking to, though. So maybe she didn't actually have the words, or he probably would have wanted to see it for himself. So it was better just to show him so that he can then internalize it for himself. I don't know.
No,
but
they're not supposed to. No. They have to give it to your doctor.
Yeah, but he's special.
That was TV.
Yeah, there we go.
That was
Don't
TV.
Try going to, after you get your MRI, thinking they're going to give you the results right then. No.
And what did we have any thoughts of it being Leah with him when he finds out this news?
No, that was shocking to me. But when I knew Shaun was in quarantine, I'm like, who else is supposed to take him?
Well, I love that idea that she was their backup, and then he still had that sarcastic tone when he told her, everyone else may approve of her sassy attitude, or everyone else might find her sassy attitude appealing, but he didn't. But I love how she's so gun-ho to who she is and what she thinks and what she believes. And Dr. Glassman needs that. He needs that person that's going to kick him in the behind and not coddle him to an extent, especially when, like she said, you're going to go to the hospital and do what? what? Your own immune system is not even doing well at this moment. So are you going to put yourself in danger? Do you know how many people would get mad at Leah and thus her as well? I mean, Dr. Glassman as well. So I feel like we know he does receive special treatment because of who he is, his status, his tenure at the hospital, but I just can't say there's no other way to just feel defeated. And then that makes me think, well, he came out of remission for the first time, but what happens the second time?
I know. That's a big worry, is because we got a very happy ending the first time with him seemingly okay. Granted, he was having a couple side effects to the radiation, but he was seemingly okay, and now his cancer's back, and we don't know if he's going to be able to make it this time. And it's very, very sad to think about that, because he has had such a difficult road up until this point.
Yeah.
So.
But it's so realistic, though. There's a lot of people who deal with cancer who have to keep going back and back, and that's why they say, like, you know, cancer survivors are fighters, you know, because it's not just usually it's not the first time. It's usually like when it appears again is when they really come after it, you know. And then I don't think people realize how much of a toll chemo takes on your body. You know, you're losing your hair. Like, cancer doesn't cause you to lose your hair. That's the chemo. I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
You know, that's how, like, intense that medication is. So, yeah, it was realistic. That's why I was like, dang. You know, it's just like one of those where you hear it, or you know, I'm sure everybody knows somebody who had cancer or battled it and is either, like, passed on or still dealing with it or beat it. It just put it into perspective. Like, man, you're never out of the woods, you know. Unfortunately, his came back sooner than, you know, most people based on statistics. Usually it's within the first year. That's why they usually try to attack it. But I was I guess we kind of were still in the first year. Yeah. So I guess that's about normal. But still, it was just devastating because we already know Shaun's in quarantine and dealing with all this. And then he doesn't even know the news he's going to get when he gets out, or
if he gets out.
He's going to get out.
Yeah, he's going to. I'm not worried about Shaun. He's going to get out. Right, yeah.
Do you see me looking at the writers? He's going to get out.
Honestly, what would this show even be without Shaun?
The Good Doctors with an S?
It would have to be.
Doctors. But there's already TV show with that one.
The Doctors. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because we have Dee Dee in the chat who also feels like, she said Dr. Glassman just had surgery a few weeks ago. She feels like this was all rushed. So I think she's kind of in agreement with you that it wasn't time for him to breathe and come to terms that, okay, he's out of the woodworks before it just sprung right back on them that, nope, let's go back through this again. And then back to what you said, Veronica, we have Jazz41173 said it was Annie Lennox's Silent Night, and it was a perfect choice because it was haunting, especially the close-up of Shaun, and I think that's what was the haunting point, because the close-up was so accurate, and then just Shaun's facial expression is what also drew you in. And if you paid attention also to the song that was playing, it was just like an eerie feeling, like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I think that was all good points that everyone kind of is in agreement with.
So it was a Christmas song. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great Christmas song. That version was just chilling.
Yes.
But it was a great choice.
We won't be playing
Great choice. All right, ladies, any final thoughts on tonight's episode before we get into our special segments?
Oh, man. Okay, first of all, like I said, you guys can probably have like a little ding bar or whatever, how many times I say the word crazy. That's literally what this episode was. There's just so much. I honestly just want because I just want to get into predictions, because I want it to happen, because this episode just took me on a roller coaster. I just cannot believe Glassman. I mean, I think that pretty much states my feelings. I think
we definitely have something to look forward to for the second half. I don't think anyone's gonna die. At least maybe the season finale, but not the mid-season finale. I think everyone's gonna come back. Somehow Dr. Lim's gonna recover. She's gonna be the one not to pass on, and they're going to be able to find out what this virus was, maybe from her, and how it was contracted, and whatever else is involved in trying to contain the virus. But I think she's going to be the one to be able to help the CDC out when they get there, sadly, unlike Tyler wasn't able to.
Okay. All good stuff. All right. Now is the time of the show where we go to our special segments. Our very first one we've been doing for a couple of weeks now. We like to call it Shaun Says, because Shaun has some very fun lines that we find very comical or very touching, and we just want to give those a little bit of love. So, Carlina, was there any lines that you want to
Oh my gosh, you guys ready for it? I was
today?
laughing. He was so serious about his lunch.
Oh my gosh, get that boy a turkey sandwich now.
So stop trying to steal my line, girl. Here we go. A banana isn't lunch. A turkey sandwich and milk is lunch. I agree with you, Shaun. That was funny. The fact that everybody, is on quarantine and stuff, and Shaun's like, I need my lunch.
I eat it every day at this time.
You know what? That'd be me, because y'all know I'm cooking with Carlina and I love food. I would be like, where's my lunch? I mean, if I'm going to die, at least want, I want it to be.
You want a good meal.
This is the last supper for me. That's what I was going to do. That's how I was feeling. Go ahead.
I really like the part where he's working on Santa, and the guy just like, call me Santa, and he's about to put like the fluid into him, and he's like, I'm sorry, Santa. It was just really funny. And then kind of reiterating what you were saying, I always don't mean to. It just kind of comes out, but I don't mean to. I don't ever mean to, but and then kind of reiterating what you were saying, Taquaila, where they're saying they need to perform surgery on Santa, and he's like, we will have to improvise.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that, because it's just like, I don't know, I feel like that was a really good moments of confidence of Shaun, of like, we can figure it out, because he is so intelligent, because he is so good at being a doctor. And speaking of doctors, something else that we like to do in this show is we like to highlight a real-life good doctor, because there are so many nurses, doctors, technicians, everyone in a lot of people, rather, in the medical field are doing such great, great things. And I will let Taquaila take it away for this one.
Well, great. Thank you. So this week's doctor is Dr. Eduardo Rodriguez, and he is a surgeon at NYU Medical Center. It's a new face transplant unit that NYU has opened up. And he helped out Cameron Underwood, who at the time of being 24 tried to commit suicide. And when that didn't go through for him, he was left with a face except for forehead, eyeballs, and tongue. And so after much research for his parents trying to figure out, the best face transplant surgeon to help him recover and have a normal face instead of being disfigured or as normal as we can get, they came across Dr. Eduardo Rodriguez. And just a little bit of the story. I don't want to get into too much because it could be too graphic for some of our viewers, but some of the main points, again, the patient's name was Cameron Underwood, and he was from Yuba, North Carolina, Yuba, which is in Northern California. Again, he was 24 at the time that he tried to take his own life, and it was due to depression. And so after a year and a half later, he had surgery at NYU, of course, with Dr. Rodriguez. His donor was a 23-year-old named Will Fisher. He was an up-and-coming filmmaker and writer who studied at Johns Hopkins. Sadly, Fisher died in January 28 after a battle with mental illness. So they were able to use his face as the transplant for Cameron. The surgeons revealed that this was the shortest recovery period of any face transplant and the shortest time from injury to surgery. This is only the case that received health insurance coverage, which in the article his family is praising, because rather than research grants, we could have taken more time, and it could have left they could have left his wounds more time to heal and settle in. So that was also one of the reasons why they were so quick to want to go ahead and do his face transplant, so that it wouldn't cause even more complications during surgery and not leave as many scars if it had time to settle into his wounds. And then it says since Cameron's surgery, he has gone skydiving, to which Dr. Rodriguez even joked he can at least check off the box that a face transplant can tolerate jumping 15,000 feet out of the air, and it all held together. So just a little bit of a reason to smile in the midst of what happened to Cameron and his believable transformation. We do also said that there's some things, that life just happens when you're fighting for life. Life tries to throw more things at you, and it almost made Cameron not be able to make his surgery because there was a storm in the U.S. that hit in January 2018. If anybody wants to go back to the beginning of the year, remember that. But it was because of the generosity of certain pilots. Cameron managed to get on one of the only flights that was permitted to leave from California to New York in that storm so that he could undergo his groundbreaking surgery. And speaking publicly, because he had an interview after his surgery and just was in the information of telling them, how relieved he feels. And he said that even though I'm still recovering and gaining back some sensation and mobility, I'm so happy with the results. I have a nose and a mouth again, so I'm able to smile, speak, and eat solid foods. And I also don't get as many stares or questions from strangers. So you can only imagine just for his peace of mind and for his self-confidence that how, just having the transplant, he can look in the mirror and see himself. That boosted his self-esteem and just the love of himself as well. But Dr. Rodriguez said that his advances in medical technology allow us to more rapidly evaluate donors and recipients for face transplant and to perform surgery more safely and efficiently. But in the end, it's all about the patient. And he said Cameron has put in the work and has made the necessary commitments, as to which is why he also had the shortest period time of recovery. It only took just 18 months. And they said, despite of the extent of Cameron's injuries, it took 25 hours to repair. And again, it was his shortest recovery too.
It's an amazing story.
Yes, kudos to Dr. Rodriguez and stepping out the box to do face transplant. You may not often wonder why that his field is needed, but then you hear stories like Cameron's and you see the before and after pictures, and you have a sense of overwhelming joy for him because now you see that, how often do we all look in the mirror to fix our hair or whatever it may be going on with us throughout the day, and he feels like himself now, so he has more of a reason to live, he says.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And I know this was a big story actually coming out of NYU Langone Medical Center. So thank you so much for sharing that and giving us all the details. It's truly a remarkable story of great doctors doing great things. So like I said, when we come back in the new year, if you know of a story of a doctor, a nurse, a technician, anyone in the medical field that is doing something great, let us know so that we can highlight them live on the show. All right, let's get into some quick rapid fire predictions.
Your Afterbuzz TV predictions.
I feel like we already kind of covered some, but any others still you want to get off your chest for when we come back?
Oof.
I'm going to take a note from Gloria Hernan in the chat who says they better find an antidote. So I'm going to leave it like that because it's this mid-season finales and they better find one.
You guys ready for rapid fire?
Go.
Here we go. Glassman's going to come back. He has to do chemo, but he's going to try to figure out how to tell Shaun. But I don't know if Glassman's going to fight as hard as he did the first time.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's devastating.
Dr. Lim, stop. Ready? Here we go. Dr. Lim. They are going to find a way to save Dr. Lim, but I have a feeling that Dr. Melendez is going to find a way to save her. He's getting in there. He's not going to let his boo sit in there, in quarantine. He's going in. Because he also has to help Morgan finish that surgery. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As a supervisor, that's what's happening. Shaun, I think somebody's going to bust that light for Shaun so he's able to get up. Someone's going to throw a shoe at it or something. So Shaun's able to cope and he's able to help everybody. And I think everyone will survive. I think the 3 people that died, that's enough. Please don't kill anybody else. Mm-hmm. That's enough. But I definitely think Dr. Lim is going to have to recover. She's going to be out for a little bit. That's a hit. That's your, that's your immune system that took a hit. So she's going to be out for a little bit. And we're going to see Dr. Melendez step into the limelight a little bit, and kind of take over and help the surgeons. And we're really going to get to see Morgan battle with grief. And in terms of Claire's just going to be Claire for now. All right.
For now. All right. I just kind of going what you were saying, Taquaila, I just want there to be an antidote.
Yes.
I'm hoping the best for our residents and for our surgeons to come out of this very difficult situation. And Melendez. Boom. Could that be their name?
Melendez. I like it.
That actually sounds like an actual last name.
It actually
right?
does.
It
Or
does.
singer or somebody.
Calling
Melendez is.
Calling it now. Melendez.
Like that.
Melendez.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning into the winter finale of The Good Doctor here on AfterBuzz TV. Taquaila, where can the fans find you on social media?
Again, I am Taquaila Jackson. You can follow me at Taquaila_I am.
You guys can follow me at Cooking with Carlina on Instagram and everywhere else. And then on Twitter, you guys know where to find me at Cook with Carlina because I love to live tweet during the show.
And you can find me, Veronica Valencia, on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V. Thank you so much for tuning in with us all season long. We will be back in the new year. So until then, watch more of The Good Doctor, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz. Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.